Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything Workspace by the Tab Geeks Network. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. It seems I may have offended some of our podcast listeners, so I would like to reiterate and apologize. The podcast version of the show isn't going anywhere, okay? There's more info that is shown on the video version, but you're always absolutely welcome to listen wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
It's out there. It's on all of them. Spotify,
It's on
Apple, Google. Yeah.
I haven't found one yet that it's not on. So if you do enjoy your podcast on one and it's not there, let us know. Busy week for Google here. Not so much in the updates area, but updates in terms of Google I/O. They had an absolute deluge of AI announcements at I/O this week, and even led someone to, or a couple, some people, because I saw this a couple of different places, stitched together every time Sundar said AI on stage. I think the final count was something like 136 times or something. And it's basically,
just from just from IO,
just from the 1 2-hour keynote of Sundar on stage.
Wow.
I'll put it in the editing here, but it's AI.
AI, generative AI, AI as AI. It uses AI to bring AI.
As a tech analyst friend of mine, Avi Greengart, put it, if you're playing an IO AI drinking game, you are now dead. So,
well, cheers.
Drink to that, sure. Yeah, a lot of information on that in the second half of the show here, and some of it is workspace related, or a bunch of it is workspace related. Some of it is everything else related. But the overall consensus is Google is back. They didn't just bring their A game; they brought it all. Yeah.
They brought their AI game.
They brought their AI game, exactly.
There you go.
How's it going, Steve?
Good. Actually, out on the west coast here, same time zone as you today.
Yeah. First time in a while.
Hanging out in Vegas last couple of days. Just getting away like on the last weekend to do any kind of traveling before the summer hits, and summer schedule kicks in, with kids and everything. So. Had to get away, and this was the weekend to do it.
Yeah, I think I got to do that in a couple of weeks. Also, my in-laws are coming into town, and so I think I'm going to take advantage and just jump, just run away.
I will. Yeah, I will be in Chicago this entire summer. So
nice.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good things to do with kids there. So
it's a lot.
Museums and activities.
Well,
things.
I think we talked about that last time. We did the Adler last time, and. Did Shed Aquarium. The kids got a little bit bored though that last time. They just wanted to go home, and like, the fish are boring, Dad. Like, we want to go home and play with our cousins, and that's what they said.
I'm done with aquariums, honestly. I used to have a membership to the local aquarium, which is actually a pretty good one here in Long Beach, and it's so boring for me. The kids, they're like, whatever. I mean, my oldest is 5.5, so he's still into it, and the 4-year-old is like, oh yeah, that's cool, but it's like boring for me and my wife. So I think we're a little bit done with aquariums for now. Try out some of the other science museums. There's a really cool rocket museum here that we go to, or science museum that it has a rocket in it, and basically we spend all of our times in Mission Command. So
those are our next ones. Yes.
Yeah. I gotta go to the I think it's the LA Space Center where they have the actual shuttle. My son is a space nut, so
okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
That'll be definitely up there.
Yeah, I've got Field Museum and Science and Industry coming up next on the agenda for this summer, so
nice.
Hit them all up.
Nice. Yeah. My son's latest obsession, because I gave him a old toy of mine, which is an old SR-71, and he
Blackbird,
is the Blackbird, baby. He's all about it, and so like he even watches documentaries, boring ass documentaries from 2004 about the service of the Blackbird, or even earlier. By the way, it's like the 70s documentary about talking about it and whatever, 70s style, and so I got to take him to wherever I can find one on exhibit out here. I know there is one. I've been to the Intrepid in New York, and I've seen that one a couple times, but never on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's the one. Like, one of the few models that I have when I was a kid was of the SR-71 Blackbird.
Yeah.
And it's still sitting on my, in my room, my parents' place, and
nice.
It's up on the,
It's an insane aircraft. Still holds the record, even though it's not in service, for highest and fastest flight.
It's from the 60s. That flight is from the 60s. 64. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that old of an airplane, but
Yeah, and we haven't broken the record. I mean, sure, with rockets we broke the record. The shuttle went 16,000 miles an hour compared to 3,000 miles an hour of the SR-71. But still, like,
yeah, yeah,
technology is crazy.
Yeah, my daughter was talking about, she's like, I think they were learning about, flight and G-force in school. And she's like, yeah, she's like, the most G-force that people can, kind of handle is like, 9, like Mach 9 or whatever. And, so.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into the updates. We, as you said, only a couple updates this week on the Workspace side, but then a lot of updates coming out of I/O. And the 2 updates that we had this week actually were pretty good. I mean, the second one is pretty good. The
welcome ones. Well, the first one's pretty good too.
Some spam protection, Google Drive, really just some ways to organize spam files. I was saying, to you earlier that I'm also getting a lot of spam in the Google Photos area as well. So I get these, photos with comments shared with me and that kind of stuff. But I think it's not been too bad. It's not,
to be honest.
No?
No. I mean, I was getting a lot of Drive spam for a while, but that seems to have tapered off.
Subsided, yeah.
So, I don't know.
So we've got that. We've got that update this week. And then also the bringing of pool storage and shared drives to Business Starter. So Business Starter customers are going to get a lot more functionality for them. And, welcome that change. I think for those of you that are on the Business Starter tier, this will be a nice little enhancement to see within your environment there. Next, we talked about Bard getting some updates, with I/O and also coming into Workspace, the Workspace environment. There's a sign up list that we will also talk about to get your organization onto that and get some access there. I don't think any of us have seen it ourselves. We haven't got access yet, but I know a few people that have
To
got
Bard
that on
or
their
to
accounts.
to Duet?
Well, was it Duet?
Bard I got.
Yeah, no, do it within the Workspace
okay.
environment. Yeah. So within Google Docs, the automation of, talking or automating things in Google Docs. Yeah, which is to it. So we've got some updates there. An update on the Drive for Desktop app. Again, just kind of a minor update for the most part, going to version 75, and then lots of topics in the news. So we have the introduction of Duet AI for Google Workspace. That's kind of the main one here on the list. A couple articles here from Google. That one was the first, and then the second one here is that Google Cloud Generative AI is coming to popular Google Workspace apps. Wall Street WSJ, Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal.
I lost the name of the acronym. Yes, WSJ. Wall Street Journal. Article here talking about Wendy's, Google's train next generation order taker and an AI chatbot. So that I guess is bringing some functionality to Wendy's there, and I think
it's a cool one. Real world.
Check the link there. That one wasn't working for me, so we'll get the updated link.
Oh, I'll get the free link in there. 1 sec.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, that's a 404.
I think that could have been me though. I was thinking that I think I probably didn't include all of the
there's
details in there. No, it's not working.
Okay. It is. There's just 2 links on there. So I'll get the real link for it. 1 second.
Got it. It'll work. Yep. Next, again, the 9 to 5 article talking about the updates that came out this week with Workspace, with Drive, adding spam folder, dark web scans for Gmail, and more. Next, another Wall Street Journal article talking about Google no longer seen as playing AI defense to Microsoft. And of course, that all comes from this last week's event at I/O. Next, a Verge article here talking about Sundar's talking about search, AI, and dancing with Microsoft here, kind of trying to keep up and be competitive in the AI space. Another Verge article here talking about how Google is making up for lost time. And next is a Wired article about the boring future of generative AI. And then finally, a 95 article along with the Google Workspace link to sign up for Google Workspace Labs. So this is talking about the AI-based features within Google Workspace. So lots of news for Jesse to keep us up to date on there. Kind of late this week for me, but I will jump into that first one. And this is going to be enhancing that spam protection in Google Drive. So there's now going to be a dedicated spam folder within the Google Drive interface to host those unwanted files that are shared with you from outside the organization and that are just, you need somewhere to put them and to classify them as spam or kind of abusive content. So this will give you the ability to mark that document in a couple different ways and, organize them in the spam. It'll be like a spam folder within Drive. So pretty straightforward in terms of what that is going to be. So just drag and drop that file over into the spam folder, and then it'll give you that pop-up to classify that that spam type document. The use or the functionality of the spam folder will kind of be the same behavior that you're used to in the Gmail interface, where after 30 days it'll be permanently removed from Drive. So it'll give you some time to keep it there, review it in case you made a mistake or something, but it will get purged out after 30 days. And in terms of rollout for this one is going to be rolling out starting on the 24th of May for both rapid release and scheduled release domains on an extended rollout, potentially longer than 15 days for visibility. And it is going to be available to all Workspace customers, as well as the legacy G Suite Basic and Business customers, and also those with personal Google accounts. And then next we have that shared drives are coming to Business Starter tier. And along with that, you're also going to get pooled storage capabilities. So that will make it easier to kind of allow users to maybe use a little bit more storage than that 30 gigs that they were initially provisioned. And if you have a couple of users that are using more than that, because as things changed before, you can no longer add additional storage to individual user accounts in Business Starter or in nonprofits, for example. So this will make it a little bit easier there for those users that need a little extra space in their account to leverage that pooled storage capabilities. And then also part of that to kind of help offset some of the Drive usage a user might have. They can now start to create shared drives in the Business Starter tier. So another way to move those files from the individual user's account into that kind of organizationally owned segment of Drive files. It's now going to be coming to this tier. So looking at the rollout on this one, there's a little bit different rollout pace depending upon which feature this is. So starting on the 15th of May, Business Starter customers will have that pooled storage by default. So that is today as we're recording this. And then pooled storage will start rolling out to Business Starter customers on the 22nd of May and continue over the coming months. Yep. So I guess it just means new Business Starter customers will have that by default as of today. So if you are an existing Business Starter customer, you've got to wait a little bit longer for that, as that'll start happening in a couple days in next week, and then rolling out, again, a little ambiguous here, but over the coming months. Shared drives will become available after pooled storage rolls out to all existing Business Starter customers. And that is just going to, of course, affect those on the Business Starter tier. Next, let's talk a little bit about that the BARD updates that we saw coming out. So there is I guess one of the biggest updates there is that the waitlist has been removed, so you really can just sign up and start using it as you want. There are some additional expansions of Bard coming to more countries and more languages, and then some of the functionality of being able to export to Google Docs and Gmail is also making it a little bit easier to take the results of what Bard gives you and put that into those Docs or Gmail interfaces as you need.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then finally, there will be a dark mode for Bard as well. And I think mine defaulted to that. I think that's kind of based off of system preferences. Yep. And I don't know, a few more comments you wanted to make there on the Bard updates and AI stuff.
Yeah, I do actually. I find it very amusing that they have to, because they have a what and a why for dark mode, and I'm like, is that really necessary? Why? Because it's the #1 most requested feature for Bard. That's why.
Yeah,
because all of us IT nerds, or I don't want to upset anybody. Most of us IT nerds are obsessed with dark mode, whether it's in Docs or whether it's in YouTube or Gmail or what have you. But definitely the programmers, who are the people that are now one of the larger segments that are targeted in using Bard, they live in dark mode, or so I'm told. So that is definitely, and I believe they said on the stage, was the #1 most requested feature for Bard. So they have launched that. You can still get light mode if you do like light mode. By all means, go ahead. But dark mode is here. And then, the waitlist has been removed, and that's true for Workspace as well. If you follow the instructions that we had in last week's episode, you can get in. It takes a couple of minutes. Follow those instructions and enable experimental apps, and away you go.
Yes, enable the experimental apps and turn on the service. That's the two-pronged approach there, as we noticed.
Yeah, and I did it just for I actually use a security group instead of an OU, just to get people set up with that. And, so far, people are enjoying it. Bard is big. Big bad Bard.
Yep. And then next, we did have that Drive for Desktop update that brings version 75 out to those endpoints there for those users on the Drive for Desktop client. There was an issue that got resolved where storage utilization was incorrectly reported as 0 for some users. And then there's, of course, some additional bug fixes and performance improvements. I don't know if I'm on 75 just yet. I'm still stuck on 74. But that update was around May 8th. So there could be a little bit delay coming to those users, a little bit longer to get that version coming out to you. And then, Drive for Desktop kind of rounds out our updates for the week, and that brings us into the news for this week, which is, again, pretty extensive and focused on AI, and also with Google I/O happening. So, Jesse, why don't you take it away?
Sounds good. And it's funny, I hear a helicopter in the background there over your head, which is one of the downsides of being in Vegas, is they're always flying choppers over the hotels and airplanes. The airport is right there. You don't hear it? I hear it. It's coming through on the mic. I'm going to try and cut it out in post. But
no, I don't. All right.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself.
No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's probably all going to filter out. It's just funny that I was hearing it. One other thing I did want to mention about Bard that I overlooked here is I love the automatic export or one-click export options to either an email or Google Docs. I've already been using those. I was using Bard to give me some what do you call it? I guess outlines for some documents that I was doing, and I just click and boom, it went over to a doc, and then I just edited it and finished making it my own from there on out. And then I was able to, another time I was also used it to write a short letter and threw it into an email and edited it a little bit. And then that was it. I sent it. So big fan of those updates. And one of the articles that I was reading about that said that ChatGPT is probably the #1 in volume of copy paste right now. So Google obviously used the interface there and the other ones that are out there and said, we should make this easier for people. So thanks, Google. We appreciate that. Alrighty. Into the news updates. Introducing Duet.
A new service called Duet AI for Workspace.
Duet is Google's assistant. It is similar to, I want to say, Copilot over on the Microsoft side, if we're allowed to say the big M over here on the show. This is an article that is on the Google Workspace blog, which doesn't get too many updates, so always excited when we hear and see some big ones on here. This is the biggest update coming to Workspace since, well, Javier announced the unified workspace. What was that, 2 years ago now, I think? And we still haven't seen all of the features, so hopefully this will roll out faster, given the frenetic pace. Is that the right word? The hectic, frenetic, crazy pace that Google is taking here for frantic. Thank you.
I think that's probably what they're looking for, frantic.
Frenetic, also fast and energetic in a wild and uncontrolled way. So all work there. Okay. All are accurate. Both. The all hands on deck, yes. Code red alert, whatever they called it. Put AI in literally everything. Has basically coming to pass here, and that's one of the things that I was seeing a lot of people saying about this event is that the whole thing with AI is that yes, ChatGPT took off, and yes, millions and millions and millions of people are using it, but changing platforms is hard. So at the end of the day, even if Microsoft is really pulling a lot of stuff into a lot of their integrations with OpenAI and ChatGPT into their products, if people just wait a little bit longer, Google has now shown that they have come swinging with the same or possibly better AI into all of their products. People aren't going to jump ship just for that. And so I think that's a huge element here in why Google was so, we need to do this now. Another person described the Google I/O event as Google's AI FOMO. So they're here, they have AI and everything, and let's talk about how that applies to Workspace now. But this article is from Aparna Papu. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who is the one who took over for Javier when he left as the GM, General Manager, and Vice President of Google Workspace. So essentially, they are building in tools to all of Google Workspace, the apps, the editors. They're showing here Google Meet and creating some images from a text-based text-to-image creator and helping me write. And from the get-go, like starting off Google I/O with Sundar Pichai on stage in his keynote, the first thing that he started off with was Gmail.
Starting with Gmail. In 2017, we launched Smart Reply. Short responses you could select with just one click. Next came Smart Compose, which offered writing suggestions as you type. Smart Compose led to more advanced writing features powered by AI. They've been used in Workspace over 180 billion times in the past year alone. And now with a much more powerful generative model, we are taking the next step in Gmail with Help Me Write. Let's say you got this email that your flight was canceled. The airline has sent a voucher, but what you really want is a full refund. You could reply and use Help Me Write. Just type in the prompt of what you want, an email to ask for a full refund, hit create, and a full draft appears. As you can see, it conveniently pulled in flight details from the previous email. And it looks pretty close to what you want to send.
Just straight out of the gate, Gmail has already had AI in it, obviously with Smart Reply and Smart Compose for a long time, and they have been working on that, and now Help Me Write is the next step here, and that's only just a portion of what they're doing. So essentially, there's some things that we've covered here before, but Help Me Write is one service that's going to help you to write emails or to write text or wherever you are. Help Me Visualize is going to be the ability to create images, whether it's in Google Docs or in Google Slides. You're also going to be able to easily turn a document into Google Slides, which is one of the things that they showed off in the event, where it's like, oh crap, I have to now present this to people in the morning, and I just found out that I'm the one presenting, and then with one click, all of a sudden, hey, here's a slide deck with everything you need. And I'm thinking to myself during this, wow, I haven't actually created a slide deck to do a presentation like that in quite a while, but I know that there are many who do.
I've done it for digital signage, signage stuff. A lot of that.
Yeah, you create the slideshows for digital signage. Yeah.
Yeah. That's mostly what I do.
And then, over on the Sheets side of things, there's going to be a lot of data and insights, natural language. It says, "Help me organize." So I think you're getting a theme of "Help me X" with all of these here in each of the different apps. So the example they give here is "Help me organize an agenda for one-day sales kickoff event with session descriptions and status." And then you hit create, and poof, there it is, 9 a.m. sales training on new products. Although it does show 9 a.m. for lunch, so I'm not really sure what exactly happened there. So it is still just a starting point, folks. Even in their GIFs here showing off what they're doing, it's showing some glitches here and there. But that is to be expected with this, and it is not going to replace your work. As a side note here, I saw a meme that said, professors and teachers are freaking out because students are submitting entire essays written by ChatGPT. Oh no, how will we be able to tell? And it showed a screenshot of a essay that somebody put in, and one of the things was, I can't really give a accurate opinion on this because I'm a large language model. So it is a starting point. Please remember that it is not fully replacing people just yet. We'll get there, but that's the tool, and so we're very, very early in this, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so exciting, is to be able to witness such a massive change in computing here. All right, the next up on that, the next app I wanted to highlight here is Google Meets. We're weaving AI, or Duet AI, into Meet and introducing the ability to generate unique backgrounds for your video calls. So you can just type in what you want to have in your background, use text to image, and poof, now you've got your own background. And I wonder if this is going to be text to video as well. I don't see that they mention that here, but that could be interesting to have just the auto generator. But the example they give here is a visual mashup of your favorite things during a company town hall meeting, or a sales exec jumping on a call with a prospective customer and using a custom background to reflect the customer's industry or market. It's a subtle personal touch to show you care about the people you're connected with and what's important to them. Love it. Love where they're going with this. The whole theme of this is just adding on and being helpful, and I think they're really killing it here. So for those of you on the video side, obviously we're showing you what all of this looks like. If you'd like to see it, you may either click on the article or head over to the video on the YouTube side as well. Building blocks in Docs is another one here, heading over to the Docs side. This started with Simple Canvas, or Smart Canvas, rather. Apologies. App mention, bringing in lots of information and data. If you're writing a job description, for example, Duet AI will not only help you write the content, which I've already done in Bard, but love to be able to do this right directly in Docs. It will also include smart chips for information like location, status, and variables for details you'd want to customize, like your company name, helping you go from concept to completion faster without ever leaving your document. So that's something that we haven't seen announced yet, that this Duet AI is going to be able to work with all of the features such as smart chips, and I think that is a game changer. That's huge to be able to just say, hey, fill this in. It's basically a template. So one step closer to it doing a lot of the heavy lifting work for us. So that's pretty much the gist of all of the major applications here in Google Workspace, and more information obviously is going to be coming as they continue steamrolling through and coming out with new features, and this story is far from over. That's definitely the case here. Into being helpful in industries, this article, which you may have chuckled when you heard the headline at the beginning of the show, is Wendy's. Yes, the food restaurant chain. For those of you who are not in the U.S. or don't have a Wendy's near you, it's a fast food chain, similar to McDonald's, I suppose. And they are training AI to be able to listen to somebody taking orders and replacing the person who's at the window and has to listen through a crappy, broken system that never works properly to try and figure out what your order is. And one of the interesting things here that I really found fascinating is that they're really taking the approach of, okay, this has to be able to not just understand I want to get a bacon cheeseburger, for example, but the acronyms that people have created for them, which are not official acronyms. So it's using a lot of data that they have picked up from, from over the years and listening to their customers and integrating all of that information into the chatbot, so it will be able to figure out, oh, okay, fine, a JBC is a junior bacon cheeseburger, which, quite honestly, I didn't know what that was until I read this article. So
Never heard anyone call it JBC,
apparently
okay.
people do. Apparently you should start calling it that because that's the preferred vernacular. Essentially, the goal is to streamline the ordering process and prevent long lines in the drive-through lanes from turning customers away, yada, yada, yada. This is the first prime example that I have seen of AI taking jobs away. However, I don't agree with that because it's just going to allow the people in the Wendy's, the workers, to be able to prepare orders faster and actually not have to be dealing, with multitasking and with trying to figure out, oh, what did that person say? Because sometimes these systems don't work very well. And so the downside of that is if the system isn't working very well and there is no backup microphone for the person to talk to a real individual, then we may run into problems. So I'm very curious how they're going to approach that from a process standpoint of what happens when the tech fails. And I guess it will probably be similar to how you might address that today. If the microphone fails, you just have to drive up to the window, or you have somebody there with a radio or walkie-talkie taking the orders or something along those lines. So more information in the article in the show notes if you would like from there. Okay, next. We already talked about this, but there is a little bit more information in the Google Drive, adding a spam folder and the ability to scan the dark web. And this is something that rolled out, I believe, last year sometime, to do dark web scanning for Google One subscribers, but it is worth noting that it is now coming to anyone with a Gmail account in the US. You'll be able to run scans to see if your Gmail address appears on the dark web. And I'm really curious how they're implementing this, because I've done this through have I been owned pwned.com, I think it is.
Yeah.
Over the years, you sign up your domain, and anytime there's a breach, the breach information gets added to through some possible shady dark web searching by their team, gets added to their mega database, which is 1 billion, 2 billion, I don't know how many entries at this point, of unique email addresses. And if you're not familiar with the service, go look it up. Troy, what the hell's his name? I follow him on Twitter. Blanking on it right now.
Not Troy Edwards,
no,
is it?
Troy Edwards is somebody
someone
else
else.
entirely.
Okay.
I'll figure it out later. But anyway, I'll throw it up on the screen. But essentially, I'm curious if Google is tapping into that database, because he did sell the site and the service.
Troy Hunt.
Thank you.
Troy Hunt
Did sell the service and the site to a antivirus provider, and I'm trying to remember which one. Because if it was Virus Total, then obviously Google has access to that information easily. If not, I'm just curious where they're going. What?
It's just like, obviously Troy Edwards is
the name we thought of.
From SADA, from SADA, from Soda Prime now, right? So who we had on the podcast and who we interviewed with on his actually.
Not the guy who writes.
That's what first came to mind.
Have I been pwned?
No. But that was what I instantly thought of when we said Troy.
Of course. I'm just trying to look up here who he sold that to.
Well, I thought it was wasn't it Microsoft?
No.
No?
A few moments later.
All right. I had thought that he had sold it, but after doing a bunch of digging here, it looks like he abandoned that effort and is now starting to open source some of the code base for that. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty. Onward from there is another Wall Street Journal article. Google is no longer seen playing AI defense to Microsoft. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier in the show, is that Google showed up in a huge way. When Microsoft came out with their event showing off Bing and all of its shiny, crazy, awesome features, Google stock tanked. Everybody was like, whoa, what happened? Especially because Google threw together an event the day after Microsoft's that... well, first of all, it had an error in the answer that Bard was giving. And second of all, it was really underwhelming. And so basically there was a lot of question as whether, okay, Google has been doing, AI, but what have they been doing? Because Microsoft beat them to the punch here. And obviously Microsoft made it very clear that they were going after Google's search advertising business because, well, Google owns it and Microsoft wants in because it's an enormous market. Needless to say, the fear of that is gone. Google has shown and said this many, many times in the keynote, not only that they have what people are looking for when it comes to AI and for chatbots, but they've been doing AI and have been researching AI properly for a very, very long time and essentially has redeemed themselves. So that's what this article is basically going through, and goes into some more information about that, their competition there and the different apps that Microsoft has versus what Google has. So if you're interested, I'm not going to go more into that because we've already talked about that quite a bit. All right, Verge article here. This is also a very long one that I'm not going to go into it. If you really want to go deep with Sundar Pichai and The Verge, I always value their interviews. I'm a huge fan of the way that they ask their questions. This is a long podcast episode here, so there is a transcript of the episode, but I definitely recommend going and watching it or listening to it. If you want to read it, you can, but usually I find it's more beneficial to go and actually watch or listen to the episode. There's oftentimes things that you can pick up on that are edited out in the transcript, which sometimes might be interesting, if not valuable. So go and check that out. All right, another Verge article here about how Google is making up for lost time. And again, I feel like I'm beating the horse here. Essentially, Google is bringing AI to everything. And I'm just skimming this to make sure. I think I just, through speaking about this in the episode, I think I have actually covered everything that is in this article because it talks about the different options for Sidekick feature in Docs, which has now been renamed Duo, so that has a different name. I covered pretty much everything here. They also talk about having a better metaverse, which is the Project Starline updates that came out of Google I/O, but that's pretty far off. And I mean, it's related because it's Google Meet on major crazy steroids, and we have talked about it on this show before. But essentially, Starline was a massive booth that made the video experience look like you were sitting directly in front of the person. It's a proper 3D video meeting experience. They have cameras in the middle of the screen, etc. So your eyes are really locked in when you're talking to the other person. And the major update here is it's no longer a huge booth. It is just what do you call it? It is just a kit that you can hook up and is getting better and faster. And I did note that Logitech had made their own version of it, but that version is now pretty outdated given the fact that their version of it also had to be in a large booth and Google's now doesn't. So I imagine Logitech is now back to the drawing board trying to very quickly figure out how to shrink and update their system to stay up with that. All right, I'm going to skip the next article here because it's the boring future of generative AI, and quite frankly, people are probably sick of hearing me talk about generative AI at this point. One last thing we have here is Google Labs is back, relaunched again. Essentially, Google Labs is where, once upon a time, they had put a lot of new features that you could try out, and now they are bringing it back so that you can sign up for 4 different AI experiments, whether it's in Google Search, Google Workspace, Project Tailwind, which is super cool, and Music LM. Yes, Steve.
I mean, it's just Google Workspace Labs. Then it was it's like the Alpha program. I don't know.
Typical Google. There's 12 ways to.
Can they just not? Can they not just stick
they
with?
Can't. They don't know how.
Come on. I'm like, wasn't the Alpha program enough?
The Alpha program wasn't public, and you had to
know,
fight to get into it. And nobody knew it existed, and even beta programs. A lot of people don't know that those are there, or other places where you have to sign up for things, or sometimes just limited to small groups. And there's a reason for that, right? Is Google doesn't want to have millions of people signing up for the same. I mean, they could, but then how do you choose who you want to work with? It's a lot more work. But
yeah, but
Yeah.
Right.
I think that this is good here in terms of this because it modernizes it. It gives it more of a centralized approach. And I don't know if this is going to replace alpha. I think you're still going to have alpha because there are things that you want to give businesses access to that you don't want the rest of the world even knowing about, right? You want to start playing around with certain things. And so, we've certainly played around with things or had feedback sessions on things that are behind confidentiality agreements. And that's not the kind of thing I think that you're going to see in Google Labs. I think that this will be specifically for the products that are not yet fully products. They are experimental. The experimental flag that we see on Bard is likely going to be on everything else that shows up here. And Project Tailwind is definitely experimental. Music LM, they hardly talked about that, is definitely experimental. I'm curious to see what Workspace features will show up on here. There is a landing page for this, which is just labs.withgoogle.com, and you can sign up to be an early tester, try new experiences, and provide your input. It's very googly looking. It's join the waitlist. This does in Google Workspace show unlocking. Yeah, goes to a Google form exactly. Which, if I remember, I'll try to just drop the links for the forms directly below here. But in terms of Google Workspace, it does show the help me write in Compose, and it shows a person using it on the phone, which I haven't seen too much about yet. So that should be interesting to see where this goes. And yeah, I guess Duet is going to be in here, but I guess what they're trying to say is, this is our new hub for signing up for things like this. So it does make it a little bit easier for people to find it. But again, I still think alpha and beta are going to be around because that's just how Google does things. So I think that's it. Thank you, Steve, for pasting the links over there so that I can just take them from the show notes and put them in the description when I publish the show. But that's all for this week. I hope that you are not completely sick of hearing about AI from us, because there will certainly be more. Send us your questions and comments on Twitter or on our website. There is a form, for those of you who don't know, that you can send in submissions to the show if you want, and you don't want to be commenting over on the YouTube side. So hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening if you haven't already. Have a great week, and we will see you next week on Workspace Recap.